they got him. They got the shooter of Charlie Kirk. Or have they? No more speculation today. Now, it does seem like they may have him. Okay? I've still got my doubts, alright? And they haven't officially confirmed he is the shooter of Charlie Kirk. Now, this young man, who is the same young man that was published by the FBI regarding the image. If you saw the image of him going down the steps and what have you, up the steps, what it was, wearing his Converses, well then, it looks like him, and it's most likely to be the same person. Anyway, he's 22 years old, and he made that shot. That's impressive. He's got no military background whatsoever. He was brought up around guns, but still, it was windy as well that day, and he made that shot. That I am impressed about. That I am. Not for the fact he's murdered somebody, but that is one. That couldn't have been easy. One shot, you know, which looks like it probably hit either the collarbone or the jacket that he was wearing, because he was wearing a bulletproof jacket, you see, and it probably ricocheted off that and up through his neck. That's what it looks like. It might be wrong, but that's what it looked like. If you've seen the video clip, I've seen it before. It was blurred, but you know, if you've seen the video clip, it's quite gruesome, I suppose. But don't get me wrong, I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm hardened, but I didn't see it as shocking as people are trying to make out. Maybe I ain't got no soul, but you know. Maybe because I'm not fond of Charlie Kirk. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. I don't like the idea of murdering anybody, to be fair. It feels wrong. Because it is wrong, quite frankly. Lock them up and throw away the key. Yeah, maybe. But murdering people is it? Yeah, it isn't right, is it? Let's be honest, it isn't right at all. But I will be honest with you, as somebody who won't lie to you, it doesn't bother me. That Charlie Kirk is no more. I'm bothered about the young children, not the wife so much, because it's not me funny, but she's a little bit crazy herself, to be honest. She posted some strange stuff online just before he was killed. And that was a bit weird, alright? So, it's understandable when people make a lot of speculation, and I did as well. Like I say, I made speculation about what had happened, and maybe it's still true. We don't know for sure yet. He hasn't admitted it yet, or made isn't publicly known that he's confessed. Maybe a bit of thumb screws in and stuff like that. Waterboard them. There they go. It's the new way. Donald Trump has mentioned it in the past, There's nothing wrong with a good old bit of waterboarding and an old golden shower. And that's Trump all over, and get Putin in on it as well while you're at it. But this geezer, Tyler Robinson, his father apparently tried to convince him to hand himself over because he confessed to his dad, and then his father, he used to be a sheriff, and then he's now a minister, I believe. Anyway, he spoke to another member of the family, got them to call the police. That's how I take it, or what's happened. And obviously he's been arrested and he's in custody, been questioned. Now, they apparently found the gun in the woods, wrapped in a towel. That's not the act of a professional. If it is the gun, that's not the act of a professional. You wouldn't leave bullets or casings on the roof if you're a professional. Also, you wouldn't be leaving all your impressions and palm prints on the roof if you're a professional. You just wouldn't. And anyway, he fled across the top of the roof, jumped off that roof, and then scarped towards the woods, which I'll show you that little video clip probably in this video. But anyway, I've got this a BBC clip here, so I'll show you that first, and then we'll get into it, okay? There he is. That is him.
This is 22-year-old Tyler Robinson, who was taken into custody at 10 p.m. local time on Thursday. BBC Verify have been looking through Robinson and his family's social media profiles. They paint a picture of a happy family life, Photos show the day he was dropped off at university by his parents, who helped him move in, wearing what appeared to be the same shoes as those in the images released by the FBI. Social media paints an idyllic suburban life, going to restaurants, travelling, and celebrating milestones. The FBI said relatives of Tyler's talked about how he'd become more political in recent years and expressed criticism of Charlie Kirk's right-wing views. Investigators at the scene said they'd found a bolt-action rifle wrapped in a dark towel. They said inscriptions are found on bullet casings. One read, "Hey fascist, catch," and another had lyrics of Bella Ciao, an Italian anti-fascist song. Now, police will comb through his life for any clues as to why he did this.
Now, some people are going to say, well, he was indoctrinated while he was at college. They educated him. He was able to think then, you see. But this is the thing with a lot of these people who follow people like Charlie Kirk. They require a little bit of education to realise that Charlie Kirk is talking a load of bollocks. Or was talking a load of bollocks. I should say in past tense now, isn't it? But and that brings me on to this young girl who used to work for Charlie Kirk, and I've got her little statement here, which I'll share with you in a moment. But saying that he's a lefty. He's made statements in the past and also on paper that he's unaffiliated with any political position. He's not a lefty or a right-wing. His parents are Republicans, but he's just somebody who just doesn't really know where he lies. But what he is anti-fascist. Now, you don't have to be a lefty to be anti-fascist, all right? You can be a conservative and don't believe in fascism. All right? You can be a Republican and don't believe in fascism. You can be an atheist and a Republican or a conservative. All this labelling, either right or left, is a feckin' load of bollocks. So I just say it as I say it. It is. No, some people think I'm on the left. I'm also centre left, me. All right? I believe in commercialisation and what have you, and business, capitalism, I suppose. The thing I don't believe in is greed. Does it make me a lefty? Not necessarily. I just believe that everyone has a fair crack in life, and we're all responsible for giving people that opportunity. As an employer in the past for my business, I gave people opportunities that didn't necessarily have a chance because they had a bit of a dodgy background, if you know what I mean. I've done that several times. And sometimes they're their best bloody workers, the loyalist workers. And they stick with you because in some cases, they know they're not going to get a job anywhere else. And, that's my thing, right? No one's willing to take that risk because it is a risk. And I did get through a few people, hopefully I can water, you know what I mean? But, these people don't go on about left and right, they ain't got a fucking clue. It's, Now, I did say to you, all right, about, no, I'll show you that video in a minute, okay? I'll do this one first regarding this young lady, give you an idea about Charlie Kirk and their tactics. Now, it's a 4-minute clip, so do bear with me. I do apologise, I do, but I think it's worth it because it paints the picture of what the Charlie Kirk's organisation, which he founded with a shitload of money, not his money, other people's money, a billionaire's money actually. It's all right for him, He had all this backing. Put up by the bootstraps and all that, that's bollocks, isn't it? Let's be honest, this day and age. Anyway, this girl, all right, she used to work for Charlie Kirk, and she realised she woke up.
And I used to work for Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA. I grew up in rural conservative bubble in the suburbs of Houston. My family was conservative, so I just grew up surrounded by conservative politics. And as a privileged white woman in the conservative bubble, I was never forced to confront politics and really think for myself about what I believed in. So when I was 17 and I met Charlie Kirk and he talked about limited government and fiscal responsibility, it just made sense for me. And so from there, I ended up
She was
working
naive.
for Turning Point full time for part of it during the first Trump election. And a lot of what I did was writing articles specifically designed to scare people and garner traffic and
Sounds familiar, doesn't it?
really just ratchet up the intensity of the political moment. And at the time, I thought that I was saving America. I really thought that this was the end all be all, and that if we did not fight for these conservative values, America was going to fall apart and Hillary Clinton was going to ruin the world and the deep state, I wasn't even a term at the time, but basically like the liberal, like media liberal elite is going to take over the world. And I genuinely believed that. I really did. But then in college, I was studying political science and I started to learn how the world actually works. I started to learn about governance, about the importance of government and what the government can do. And a lot of conservative politics stuff just started to not make as much sense to me. I started to really question what I believed. And that was so scary because in the place where I was at, your political view was like number one, synonymous with your faith. It was
Cult.
it was like you almost worshipped politics and your political stance. It was so extreme that for me to question my political views was akin to having a crisis of faith. But I did have that crisis of faith, and the more I unraveled it, the more I realized that conservative politics just did not make sense to me, that I thought it was unethical, that the right wing was getting more and more extreme by the day, and that I was not comfortable with it. So that's when I pretty much quit Turning Point. And I said, this is not okay. What is being done to the electorate is not okay. But I was scared and I was confused. And so it took me a really long time to really figure out what I believed. And now, the second Trump administration, I can't not talk about it. And so I want to share my experiences as somebody who used to be super conservative, who is now involved in liberal politics in small town Texas, and talk about how important it is for, if you are claiming a political party or political ideology, to really understand what it is you're talking about and what it is you're championing. So stick around. I'll be sharing some of my stories from Turning Point, as well as hopefully connecting with people who were formerly conservative. Maybe they're kind of thinking about it. Really hoping to do some good in this dark time. Hi.
Hello, Caroline. So, she basically described a cult. At Turning Point USA was basically just a cult. Like MAGA is a cult. It becomes a religion because people get so drawn in, consumed by it, and it becomes a religion. Now, young Tyler Romson, he did go to university. He did one semester of it. I think he dropped out in the end. And he his views changed. Not necessarily changed, but they become more intense regarding fascism. He's an anti-fascist. Alright? Charlie Kirk is a fascist. Plain and simple. He's a very clever. He has some tools under his belt, you see. He has techniques that he uses when he feels he's been cornered, Charlie Kirk that is, and he turns it around. It's the same old stuff. You can see it on every video, every clip that's like old Charlie Kirk. It's pretty much what he does. If he's getting cornered, he turns around. There are a few people out there who Charlie Kirk won't debate. Okay, there's some left wing podcasters out there, influencers or whatever you like to say, do a lot of live shows. The kind of way people can call in, and there's a variety of them that you won't debate because he's good at what he does, but not good enough. Now, Tyler Robinson has bumped into Charlie Kirk before at one of these events. And there he is. Oh, I'll press that button as well, shall I? Yeah, there's Charlie Kirk. Lovely guy, no. Right. I know he's gone and so, he's I'm not one of them people who are gonna sanitize what this man is. This man is an outright fascist. He is. The things that he said are, like stoning gay people and what have you. And he's very racist. About black women, the only reason they get jobs because obviously DI and what have you, he talks about, and then they're taking the jobs away from white people, and it's just, and his views are towards women and misogyny. He is a horrible, horrible man, and his whole platform, his whole methodology, it's all aimed at young people. It's always at college campuses, aimed at young people who are naive. They're not worldly. They really don't know. They see everything straight up, They don't look at nuances. They're not necessarily that deep thinking regarding politics and, a bit like Brexiters and MAGA people. They're not exactly deep, are they? No. And they're the people he preys on because they already agree with him. And those that don't have the skills to debate him because they're too young. He twists around his little finger. Tries to make me look stupid. Anyway, Tyler Robinson, well, he actually confronted him a couple weeks ago.
Further complete the point.
So getting educated is a scam.
First of all, it's not always an education, and you are perfect evidence that you haven't really been educated. You are hyper hostile. You have no humility. You have very little wisdom about how the world works, and you come and you want so badly to be recognized and noticed. You came with your own bullhorn to cut in line someone who patiently waited to ask the first question. What have you actually learned at this institution except that you're the center of the world and everyone must listen to you?
You go to countries, or you go to campuses and agitate people for like this exact scenario.
I sit here and ask questions. You're the agitator, not me.
Prove me wrong.
Yeah, correct. The students want another question, and I do agree with them because you embody the worst of this generation.
Are you looking in the mirror?
I do look in the mirror. You know what I see? I see a sinner that wouldn't act the way you do.
Oh, this is just... So what does that tell you? He just turns it around, doesn't he? And then cuts them off. Oh, there's other people who've got questions, He's got all this in his head, and it's just clear as day for Charlie Kirk. But to be fair, Charlie Kirk was right-leaning, but apparently he's more left-leaning now. Also, a sick joke, sorry. So if this guy is the shooter, which I could look at the guy himself and the way he views Charlie Kirk, he looks just like him. Even at the silhouette on the top of the roof, he looks just like him. all my speculation, right? It's just up in the air now. But it was interesting because there's a lot of stuff was going on, and it made many of us very, very curious what's going on. And one last video clip. Here we go.
I cried when I found out he died. So all of us have got to work together and de-escalate the hate and the rhetoric in this country. And remember, we're Americans, and you can disagree in a way that doesn't end in a horrible way today did.
Whatever you think of his views or my views, he was trying to engage in civil discourse on college campuses and invite people opposing views and just to go back and forth and have a debate.
The assassination of Charlie Kirk risks an uncorking of political chaos and violence that we cannot risk in America.
People are trying to shut down free speech making like Charlie Kirk. There's no place in this society. This is what happens in third world countries.
But isn't there a problem with political violence across the spectrum?
Yeah, we're talking about Charlie Kirk right now. That's the subject of this that we're talking about right now. Democrats own this 100%. And I'm not going to let you take the conversation somewhere else.
If that's what we're going to do, is just point fingers based on ideology.
Hang on. They cut one bit off that, actually. That interviewer, that reporter, reporting Nancy Mace, he also made a comparison, because she was going on about left wing and blah, 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 blah. And he made a comparison to the two Democrat lawmakers and their dog that was shot dead a few months ago by a Republican. Because they're trying to spin this narrative at the moment, aren't they? That it's all lefties. They're called lefties, which is no bollocks, you know. You're going to get crazy on the left, and then you get more crazies on the right. Let's be honest about this. These people are so dumb. They really are. Anyway, it looks like it was Tyler Robinson. I would say it probably is, for what that's worth. But time will tell. It'd be interesting to know what was really going through his head. And apparently they're going through his social media and shitloads of other stuff and interviewing his acquaintances to see what his thinking was. Obviously, he's. I think this event, all right, where was it? This event. Where,
you don't care. You're a typical leftist because you only.
When he was confronting Charlie Kirk, I think that was a turning point for him. I think that just instilled his hate.
College.
Yeah, I didn't.
Charlie Kirk.
You have First of all, it's not always an education, and you how the world works, and you come and you want so badly to be recognized, you know? And I do agree with them.
I'm trying to find him now.
Yeah, you're going to come to college and act like you know.
So are we going to?
So yeah, I think this was a turning point for him. I think this is what pushed him over the edge. Maybe he felt a bit owned, even though I think he had some fair points. But he clearly hated them to the point he wanted to shoot them. So I think there's a distinct possibility they got the right man. Now it's got to tear their family apart. You know, we've already got one family that's probably torn apart, you know, Charlie Kirk's wife and 2 children, who are probably also going to be bitter towards this man, and to the left, because that's what's been portrayed. But he wasn't a lefty, he wasn't a righty, he's non-political. He wasn't anti-fascist. Don't say Antifa, because that's bollocks. It's just like the fucking bollocks. That's just something Donald Trump wanted to use, wasn't it? You know, during his first campaign, going on about bloody Antifa, well, like the bollocks. But he was anti-fascist. Why would you want to be a fascist? That's the other question you got to ask yourself. If you want to be a fascist and you're comfortable with that, there's clearly something wrong with you. You know? Charlie Kirk made comparisons with the Holocaust. He was a denier. He was an anti-vaxxer. But he was also very well funded. Obviously, he had a lot of people that supported him, and there's a lot of people out there, like a religion, that believe in Charlie Kirk being the next president of the United States. Which could lead you to think that maybe Trump ought to get rid of him, you know, or the Trump family, or even Stephen Miller, because I think he fancies that position. If you know what, crikey. Save you. Bloody hell. Yeah, but Goebbels. So, yeah, anyway, this geezer who was funding him, I lost track then for a moment. This geezer who was funding him, he died of COVID. He got COVID and pegged it after backing an anti-vax geezer. It's just, you can't make this shit up. You really can't. Yeah, they still believe all that crap. Anyway, you tell me. Please leave the comments down below, but please, 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 boop the old like button and subscribe to the video and what the channel, have you, and the little bell icon. There it is. Yeah, get notified then, you see, every time I upload another video. And if you want to support the channel, you do it on Patreon or buy us coffee, or there's super thanks and memberships and stuff like that. We're also doing rewarding here in France. We're planting loads of trees. And if you want to have a treat, we'll plant a treat. It doesn't matter, you know, let's make a little contribution. It doesn't matter how much it is, okay? And then we'll plant a tree on your behalf, and I'll make a sign to go with the tree with the laser, mate. So anyway, it's time for me to go. So I'm going to say toodle, you know. It looks like they got much. I think they probably have, don't you? What do you reckon? Leave it in the comments down below.